So hello, welcome everybody to this webcast teaching and meditation. So I'm happy to guide this short teaching and meditation for all our international sanghas and all the other friends. So this is a topic about how to find a sense of more inner peace, inner grounding qualities, the moment of challenges. So this is, I wanted to say a few words and then we can lead into a meditation. This moment in the world, as we all experience, there is a lot of changes going on in the world, and also a lot of challenges that people are facing, like in Japan. So this moment of all the challenges we are facing, a lot of changes that we are facing on a global sense, but also on an individual and a family sense, I'm sure there are a lot of things are happening. So this is about how during these very difficult moments, how we can find inner refuge, how we can find that sense of confidence to the world, confidence in oneself, how we can find that sense of hope, opportunities, and how also we can find a sense of energy, a drive to continue to live well, be happy, sharing. So this is very much about that. So when we face these challenges, very often what we do, we engage too much with this external situation. We engage too much with our own thoughts, our ego, our inner voices of weakness, weak voices, and we're trying to find some sense of guidance, support, communicating with our ego. And when we do that, when we communicate with our ego, when we're trying to find help with our ego, most of the time we really don't find a help. Instead, we get more confused, more lost. So the ways to find this is to go inside ourselves, and ways to do that will be, it's very difficult. The moment when we are facing for each individual, it's always challenging to say, what does that exactly means? What does that means to find that place inside? What does that mean to find that stillness inside ourselves? Or what does that mean to find that hope inside, that some light inside? It's always, I know it's always challenging moment when we face difficulties in our life. So just simply what I would like everybody to remember is, remember your own body, remember your own breath, remember your own mind. So with the body, that moment, just simply trying to be still. You draw attention to your body, just be still. Physically, be still. That is not very difficult to do. Just remember to draw your attention to the body, physically be still. And then you draw your attention to that body. feel that stillness, connect with that stillness, merge with that stillness, and rest into it. So when you become one with that stillness, it's like taking a refuge. That is like an inner refuge. So just remember to that. That is the first one. The second one is to remember to listen to the silence inside oneself, particularly during the moment when you're hearing all these different kind of voices in your head, saying something, commenting something, agreeing, disagreeing, liking, disliking, all these things. When it's so active, there's no way to find some sense of inner peace unless that is switched off. You cannot switch off by another voice. You can only switch off those noises with silence, with hearing silence, feeling silence, being in the silence. So when that happens to you, just simply remember, just listen to the silence. Silence is equally present there as much as the noise is present. Absence is the listener to the silence is absence, not the silence. You bring into a conscious, you connect with that awareness to listen to that silence. For example, like right now, this very moment. Even though I'm speaking, I hear the silence. Even though you're listening, you can hear the silence. Hearing silence does not interfere me to speak, does not interfere you to listen. Instead, I can speak better, you can listen deeper. We can connect more with each other when we are connected to that silence. So remember to hear the silence, to be aware of that silence. Being aware of that silence fully, being that silence fully, you find your inner peace. That is what you needed in the moment of challenges that you are facing. Any challenges. Typically, we face challenges of aging, we face challenges of sickness, we face challenges of the death, either it's one's own or loved ones. We are still engaged, involved with that pain. And pain is nothing more than the noise in your head, thoughts in your mind, conditions, blockages in your body. And these things can be dissolved quite fast, quite easily when we find inner medicine. Medicine of stillness, medicine of silence, medicine of spaciousness. Third, it's about experiencing that space, that spaciousness, like again this very moment, as I'm speaking, as you're listening. If you draw a little attention around and within you, you feel that unbounded space. Space in you exists, space in I exist, space in which we feel connected. That space is alive. That space is unconditioned. That space, the awareness of that space make us connect. But whenever we lose that space, of course it's not that we lose the space, whenever we lose the awareness of that space, we isolate ourselves. We separate ourselves from each other. Our thoughts and feelings get separated. Not only you're separate from the world, from others, from loved ones, but you also begin to separate from yourself. Because there's no space, there's no awareness of that space which holds us together. So just be aware that space, that spaciousness. Nobody can lost in that space. The sense of feeling lost is in your head. Nobody can find in that space. Because nobody has lost. So this moment of challenges, the moment of challenges of facing changes in our life, just simply remember to go to inner refuge of that stillness, silence, spaciousness. Let's for a moment reflect why it's important to go to that place. What actually it will help us. During this moment of challenges, what happens to us? We lose confidence. We lose hope. We lose that fire to continue. That is exactly these inner refuge provides us. It gives us that confidence. It gives us that hope. It gives us that fire. But how? Because that confidence comes from that unbounded space. That hope comes from that infinite light. That fire, that drive comes from that inner warmth, that inner heat, or what we call bliss. If we have connection to that space, we will find our confidence back, because that is the source. If we have connection to that inner light, the awareness, we will find hope, because that is the source. We will be able to feel that warmth in ourselves, that fire in ourselves, because it is there. When we feel it, when we are aware of it, that is the way we can generate fire, drive. It's there. But not wanting to have, not only just wanting to have confidence, wishing to have a confidence, thinking about having confidence, talking about having confidence, forming a group, having confidence, writing a journal about having confidence. All those things might help a little, but ultimately they don't help, because they are all part of lack of confidence. They all are voices, thoughts, activities of that fear. The only way is to be that unbounded space. Probably it's the easiest way, at the same time it's hardest way. What he's saying is saying, just stop doing all these complicated things what you're doing in your life, which sounds very easy. Don't do all these things you're doing. It's minimizing work, it's minimizing effort, it's minimizing activity. So it's easiest things to do. To be is the easiest thing. But at the same time, for ego, it is hardest thing, because it's not used to. It does not know what that means. The reason why we feel so difficult with changes is because ego has some ultimate, like a delusion. The state of ego itself, it feels like this is it, this is the truth, and the truth should not be changed. That the dilemma that ego has, it should not change. And when it changes, it cannot adjust that. Ego thinks it is the truth. That's the only reason why ego has difficulty with changes. Otherwise, tell me, why ego has difficulty with the changes? Why? Because deep inside it believes it's truth. So when you discover that truth inside yourself with that unbounded space, that does not change. So that receiving some deep quality, blessing, energy from that changeless quality in your life, receiving that infinite awareness, that knowing, awakened quality or blessings in your life, these are little fires what we can change. So I wanted to lead here a short meditation, and on the base on what I just explained is that all the challenges that you are facing with not able to process and adjust with the changes happening in your life, or in your family's life, so what are you trying to do? Just take a little moment, short moment of break, short moment to trying to change the patterns in which you are relating to those changes. For a short moment, just let's say, I do not want to try to control everything. Ego is trying to control everything. For a short moment, I wanted to give up controlling. Short moment, I wanted to getting stressed with myself. For a short moment, I wanted to stop expecting things from others. Short moment, I wanted to give up the expecting some specific outcomes. Just create little space for yourself. Find a place in your home or in the park, in the garden, somewhere. Just a moment, sit down. You draw your clear and open attention to insight. So let's try. All of you, wherever you are this moment, sit comfortably. Feel this unbounded space. Be aware of that unbounded space, that we all are connected regardless of our physical location. Unbounded space, beyond death, beyond birth, changeless, indestructible, source of all existence. We pay homage to the body of emptiness. That's our first inner refuge. Now, for a moment, just trying to be fully aware of that connection to that unbounded space. Awaken in that awareness. There is alertness, there is a liveliness, there is a vitality, vividness. The connection to that vivid, awakened awareness to that unbounded space is our second refuge. We pay homage to that body of light. In that union of awareness and openness, or in the union of that sky and the light, you allow the warmth of bliss. There is a warmth, there is a bliss. Being aware of that bliss, that warmth, that energy is our third refuge. We pay homage to that great bliss. So we pay homage to that body of emptiness, we pay homage to that body of light, we pay homage to that body of great bliss within ourselves. These refuge trees are alive through our body, through our breath, and through our mind. Just connect. You're allowing yourself to shift and transform your body through that body of emptiness. You're allowing yourself to shift your speech. You're allowing yourself to shift your mind. Now, this moment, as being in that refuge place, those you are facing a difficult, challenging moment in your personal life, whatever it is, as it is coming, don't reject, don't criticize. Host in that unbounded space, infinite light, and that a warmth, healing warmth. Host them. It's like holding a hand of somebody who needs your help. Your pain body, speech, and mind needing your help. You're holding the hand. It's like giving a hug. In hug, we remain silent, we remain still, we remain spacious, but we continually feel connection during our hug. You are hugging your pain body. You are healing your pain body by doing that. You are smiling at your pain body, speech, and mind. In that hug, there is a smile. You are caring your pain body, you care of your pain body. in this moment. With that warmth, so just simply hold in that beautiful, luminous and warm space. So continue holding in that open, luminous, warm space, your own pain body, challenges. Those you are feeling more challenged by the situation with your family, your loved ones, their changes, their aging, their sickness, and their death. You're trying to hold them in this same space, unbounded space, so you don't judge them. You don't analyze, criticize, blaming, nothing. Just hold in that stillness, in that silence. When you are able to hold in that unbounded space, you connect more, you see them more, you feel them more, you know them more, you understand them more empathy. You can relate with them more. You can feel their pain. It's empathetic connection that you are able to do when you trying to be in that unbounded space and connect from that unbounded space. So do that this moment. As you can see, your family members, maybe they are not able to host their own pain well, but you can help them by holding them in your unbounded space, that luminous awareness, that blissful warmth. Just feel, host, you are giving them a hug with that unbounded body of space, the infinite arms of light, and warmth coming from that place, from that arms and that body. You're giving hug to the pain body of your loved ones, or even sometimes collective pain body of a family, healing it. Just hold in that space. Just continue. Hold in that space. As you continue, you can see your personal pain body, a collective pain body with family, getting weaker and weaker. Your presence of that space, presence of that awareness, presence of that warmth is becoming stronger and stronger. I'm just simply saying it so you can notice it, know it. That knowing makes big difference. feel more sense of care and love toward yourself and toward your family as you're feeling more opening, more luminous, more warm. Allow sense of love and care in a deeper way. Allow them, feel them. Allow it to feel through your body so that it can open all the blockages of pain, anger. Allow it to open and flow through your speech so that it can heal all those negative blockages in your throat chakra or pains in your speech energy. Allow it to flow through your mind. So it can clear all the darkness and obscurations. Just allow. Allow it to manifest out in the real world. Make real changes in relationship and connection and behaviors. Just hearing me and reflecting that, we are putting a seed to do it. This unbounded space is the best soil to put seed in. This warmth of awareness is the best source of water, air, fire to grow that seed. Trust that. Okay. So whenever we are facing challenges, take a little time to do meditation. I have just guided. Find a peaceful, quiet place and trying to do this. And as you do this practice like this, and as you do begin to feel some dissolving these pain, fears, finding a little bit more space and awareness, and some strength back, then I would recommend to manifest them. Okay, so manifest them means just go out and do something. You know, if, for example, if you're feeling some sense of a true sense of warmth right now as a result of this practice, and then express it out as art, as a music, as a writing, as a communication with somebody, or just walking in the nature, meeting with a friend, loved ones, and expressing that to others and to yourself. Because the expressions are like another very strong way of reinforcement. Very often it's hard to do when it's not fully ripened, but sometimes you can help. One time, a student of mine told me a story. He said, after 25 years of bad relationship with his stepmother, through practice, in a very short period of time, he felt opening and healing. And the last moment of the stepmother's in the hospital, he felt courage to hug him from that place. Did he hug? Yes, he did. Did he do the right thing? Absolutely. And never late to hug anybody. When you feel that strength, courage, worthiness in yourself that you can do it, you are good enough to do it, you're worth enough to do it. When you're feeling these experiences inside yourself, then help to manifest. All those unspoken love, unexpressed love, all those unspoken and unexpressed warmth that you feel, all those not manifested creativity qualities that you feel. When you feel a little warmth, you should let them come out, and your awareness that wanting, willing, open to manifest out, or even praying to manifest out, all these will play a small role in making it accomplish. When it accomplishes, it changes your life. So that is my recommendation, and so I will probably leave little time for some questions and some so anybody want to say have some questions or comment or something like that, please, you're welcome. Paul, you wanted to maybe give some let know people are from.
Here's a question from Bunpo. I believe she's in Mexico. You might want to repeat the question. Rinpoche, what do I do if I feel like crying in the middle of the practice and this feeling is so strong that it makes it difficult to connect?
So the question is, during middle of the practice, if one feels like a crying, as feeling the practice is very strong, and it's a little difficult to connect, continue with the practice. So, well, these tears are tears of connection. These tears are tears of joy. These tears are tears of knowing yourself. These tears are tears of connecting with somebody. When they come, you don't control. You're trying to control them. It's what you're interfering your flow of your practice. not by allowing them. Here, after all, we are talking about allowing, creating that space to express. We are encouraging to express. So, trying to control is what you have to watch, not the tears.
She says, thank you. So we have about 245 people in our audience.
Computers.
Yeah, computers.
200 what?
245.
So Polly was just telling me we have 245 computers. So I am sure from it's all over. So
Canada, Netherlands.
yeah, from all over. So yeah, happy to have you all, and also this sense of talking about space and talking about connection. The technology is clearly incredible, a means to do that. Beyond time, space, we are able to connect. So it's a good metaphor. Yeah.
Quiet audience.
Okay. Yeah.
This one.
It's okay.
Jonathan Nadeau says, Rinpoche, sometimes I'm not sure if I feel the space or if I just imagine it. Is it okay to hold only imagined space?
So the question is, person saying I'm not very sure if I'm imagining the space or actually I'm really holding in that space. Well, sometimes maybe it's difficult to know, but let's say even you are imagining the space, it's far better than imagining all the possible pains which even not exist yet. So sometimes our imagination is very, very powerful. So it's good to acknowledge our imagination, good to exercise with our imagination, trying to open our imagination. So imagination is fine, but that imagination can take you a deeper space. For example, many of these higher teachings, there is a lot of images, simple images. Sometimes for some people, especially to those beginners, those images plays more important role than anything else, like clear sky, cloudless sky. It's an image. When I say that, you have an image that you are familiar with. But that image is communicating with you something in your entire body, is immediately feeling that. But as you gradually let go of that image, you remain with that experience. Or you can create thoughts with that image, which is not encouraged here. So images, sometimes imagination is fine.
Someone says, this is such a powerful and beautiful practice that there is little to be said other than to feel the deepest of appreciation and gratitude for it. Then another person says, what if during the practice the inner voice or the ego is faster than your capability to hear your inner silence? What do you recommend you do?
So the question is, so during the practice, when the voices of ego is much more louder than your ability to listen to the silence, happens all the time. So what you do, you trust yourself, you trust the practice, you trust the refuge tree, you trust all the sources of trust that you have in your life to bring them, and you keep on listening. So if you fail one time, you try. You fail second time, you try. You don't give up. And sometime maybe you just wanted to be a little bit more aware of the way in which you are listening to the silence. Because sometimes a smart ego can pretend to be a silence and pretending to be listening to that silence, and the voice is not loud enough to you to hear, but there's still a noise in that. But in generally speaking, maybe it's just simply it's a very good idea to exercise throughout the day. How many times you listen to the silence? Increase numbers of listening to the silence throughout your day. Especially when that voice becoming a strong, the environment noise becoming very strong, you listen more. So it probably is a matter of practice and exercise more, and I am sure you will hear the silence. Your silence is waiting for you. Yeah.
There's another question. Rinpoche, please say more about confidence and how confidence is different from ego in everyday life.
Okay. So request of talk a little bit more about confidence, and for a moment we can reflect on how does it feel when we don't feel confidence. We feel shaky. We feel something is going to change and destroy us. We feel something is going to negatively affect us. Bottom line is, it's very much about unable to process the changes in our life. That is the sense when we don't feel confidence. So the confidence is very much the opposite experience. That when you feel nothing is going to change. Even something is changing in your life, but you feel things are changing around me, but it's not going to change me. When you feel it's not going to change you, you feel confidence. When those changes around you, you feel it's changing you, you lose the confidence. So confidence has something to do with sense of changelessness. So to have that, to realize that changeless, you're not going to get from insurance companies. You're not going to get from outside. You're not going to get that from fixing others. Because nothing stays. Everything is changes. Probably the only thing which doesn't change is the change. Change is always there. So to achieve that, something is so difficult to achieve. And something we are always trying to find that somewhere else than in ourselves. That is a big error. So what do? You go to that place of unbounded space, the first refuge, the body of emptiness. You're trying to understand, experience, and be it. Even like a half an hour, a closer relation to that space, you will gain much more confidence than hours of discussing to fix some problem in your life. That is truth. But you trust that until You will experience that. So, go inside, find that place, and taste of changelessness. Taste of changelessness. The more you will taste it, the more you will feel confidence. The more you will feel confidence, the more you feel playfulness. The more you feel playfulness, the more you will be laughing, more you will be joking, more you will be enjoying your life. Because nothing's going to change. But if you think everything's around you are changing, and you become so weak, so vulnerable, and it's a miserable life to live. Yeah.
Okay, we have a few more questions. Someone says, I'm not sure how this relates to the topic, but sometimes I feel like I worry too much about what other people think about me. What advice would you give me, and why do you think this is so?
So the question is that if one is dependent so much on others' opinion, and what is it then?
This person says, sometimes I feel like I worry too much about what other people think about me. What advice and why?
Okay, so what is the advice when I think too much what other people's opinion about myself? Yeah. Well, it's once you have that feeling that what other people will think about you, and if you're trying to take care of all the time what other people will think about you, so there will be a group of people think that way, so you're trying to fix yourself this way. There's another group of people who think the other way, then you're trying to fix yourself that way. So you have to fix so many times, all the time, 24 hours, because there will be all many different opinions about yourself. You're in big trouble. In a big trouble. So then what do we do? Well, don't worry about so much about other people's opinion. Of course, that's easy to say than to do. Again, it goes back to the same point. How you not worry about what other people's opinion is when you feel more confidence in yourself. How do you feel more confidence in yourself? Is when you go and find that place in yourself where everything looks fine, everything looks okay, the way it is. It's yeah, I understand. One time somebody made a comment about feeling very lost and sad about, how other people think. It's not fun. So the answer is simply, it's not trying to change yourself for others, is to find that changeless place in yourself. Yeah.
Here's a question. A question about control. This person is saying, when I visualize the light and bring my family into it, I visualize their weaknesses, and then I visualize them empowered. Is that my ego trying to control my thoughts and others? Visualizing.
Yeah, so I think the main thing is what we were saying during this practice is sometimes, let's say this way, is the question about empowering somebody. You can empower somebody by complimenting, by saying something good about them, but also you can empower somebody by allowing them to be who they are. Because very often, as the previous question about opinions about somebody affecting somebody else, your opinion about your loved one sometimes might be the problem, because your loved one might be in the position of being affected by your opinion. Even you want them to feel good, but you are not allowing them to feel good because you are expecting what they can't give you. So your expectations is not empowering them. Your openness can empower them because it's allowing them to be who they are. I think that is true in any relationship. That is true even in education. For example, not all the children are not same. Somebody need discipline. Somebody does not need discipline. Somebody need to be told. Others don't need to be. If you tell them what to do, you are blocking them. But if you give space to discover each position, each unique positions of child's the ability, then give education according to them, then I think you can see much more education. If you're trying to discover the person that you're having a relationship with, or your family, if you're trying to understand them very well, their conditions, and you allow in order to understand them well, then you empower them more. Yeah.
Many thanks for what you're saying.
Mm.
And, someone says, I'm not sure how to answer this, but what exactly is the inner mechanisms that move us away from our practice? What is it inside of us that keeps us from doing our meditation practice?
Well, the question is, what is the inner mechanism which moves us away from our practice? It's very clear why it moves us from our practice. Is the lack of familiarity to the practice and the familiarity to our everyday life and our pain. We are much more familiar with our pain than our bliss. We are much more familiar with our blockages than our openness. We are much more familiar with our darkness than our light inside ourselves. We are more familiar with that coldness than the warmth inside ourselves. It's about familiarity. So what you're doing is you're trying to become more familiar with this inner quality by going in a refuge again and again, as many as possible throughout the day. It has something to do with familiarity.
Here's a question from Topstone 2 who says...
Let me say this way. I've been telling a little joke about, that are you more familiar with your breakfast or your practice in the morning practice? For sure, you're more familiar with your breakfast, because you don't want to miss your breakfast, but you're okay missing your practice. Why? It has something to do with familiarity. You know the immediate effect of the breakfast, but you have some question about the effect of your practice. So you go where there is no doubt. So it has something to do with the familiarity. So if you trust your practice as much as you trust your breakfast, your life will begin to change right that moment. So trust practice more than the breakfast. Because if you miss breakfast, you're going to make up for sure at lunchtime. Because if you miss the morning practice, I am not sure if you will make up that lunchtime. Every time I hear people saying, I did not have a breakfast, what does that mean? Bring me a big lunch. So they just wanted to make up right there. Yeah.
Someone asked, can you please briefly recap, say again, the excellent refuges? Is it number 1, space and emptiness, number 2, clarity and luminosity, and then number 3, the union of those?
Yeah. So this is my conclusion. So somebody asked, just kind of summarize the inner refuge. So the refuge 1, the body of emptiness, which is that unbounded space in ourself, in the universe. So when we trying to connect, when we are aware of that unbounded space, that is when we are taking refuge in. So when we have difficult time to connect with that because this sense of loss is so strong, then at least we draw our attention toward that direction and we trust it's there. I bow, I take homage, I humble myself. You do that. So that's first refuge. Second refuge is when you are aware of that awareness of that unbounded space. So when you're aware of that awareness, there is some sense of deep sense of alertness, awakeness, some vitality, some vividness. It's all opposite of feeling dark, down, lost, dull, sleepy. It's the opposite of those experiences. You feel so alive. That is, we call, I pay homage to the body of light, means I pay homage to that awareness, that rigpa. That second one. When these first two are there, and third is naturally comes. Third is the nirmana kaya, the manifestation from that space and light, from that openness and awareness. What comes from there is the warmth, it's sense of comfort, sense of bliss, sense of compassion, sense of love. These pure quality manifest. When you feel this pure quality in yourself, you are taking third refuge. Then you are, if you are not feeling them, at least you bow toward that direction. For example, when the weather is really, really bad, it's cold, it's windy, it's dark, and what do? At least you can draw your attention toward, look up in the sky and tell yourself, there is a sky beyond that cloud. There is. So don't focus on the cloud, focus beyond cloud and just feel, even though you're not seeing it, feel that space, feel that light, feel that warmth. Draw your attention toward that, not toward the cloud, toward the cold, toward the darkness. So that will be the way to just drawing attention toward the right place. And a right attention will change your life. Okay, so thank you very much, and I hope that you take this little experience, whatever you are having this moment, to change your life, or whatever this experience happening in you this moment, to help others in your life. Thank you. Okay.